podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
No breaks. No breaks. No fear. No fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome along, I'm Ian Brannan, and in this week's episode we look back on the events of Bank Holiday Monday, where Wolves edged the balance of league points just over the Belle Vue Aces in two competitive and eventful Bank Holiday Monday clashes. We'll hear from some of those involved, not least the Belle Vue boss Mark Lemon, Brady Kurtz, and also Drew Kemp has his say as well, all to come. There was an unusual end to the clash at Peterborough, where the Panthers were hosting the Sheffield Tigers. Tyres the issue, and we'll hear from the Sheffield team manager Simon Stead. Dan Bewley had another terrific weekend in the Grand Prix, 2 finals and 2 wins. You don't get a record better than that in Speedway. We'll hear from Kelvin Tatum on his thoughts on that win for Dan in Wroclaw and the GP series as a whole so far. Plus, we're looking ahead to 2 big fixtures this week, the British Under-21 Championships, which are taking place at Birmingham, and Neil Middleditch, who finally gets his testimonial. We'll hear from Midlow himself a little later on. All to come on this week's episode of No Breaks, No Fear.
No breaks, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
So a lot going on. The playoff places getting decided in the championship this week and moving into the playoffs starting next week, I think, with the first fixtures there. And the playoff picture also filling out very much in the Premiership as well. And a couple of one-off meetings this week we're going to focus on a little later, not least the Under-21 final, which is taking place at Birmingham. We'll hear from the leader of the consortium, one of the owners of the Birmingham Speedway team, Nigel Tolley, will be joining us to look ahead to that, and also looking ahead to the next season as well, because they've already committed to getting underway at Perry Bar in 2023. So we'll get an update on the plans from the man right at the top there. And another big fixture taking place is at Poole Stadium, where it's the Neil Middleditch testimonial, his second testimonial in his career, and find out the story behind that. We'll hear from Midlow before the end. But first of all, we're going to start in the matches on Bank Holiday Monday, and that traditional double-header between Belle Vue and Wolverhampton. And it was Wolverhampton who edged the balance of league points over Belle Vue in 2 competitive and eventful Bank Holiday Monday clashes. The Aces won 47-43 at the National Speedway Stadium early in the afternoon, and newly crowned German champion Noric Bladorn starring at reserve with 3 race wins. Wolves, who led during the first part of the meeting, secured a league point with a 5-1 in the last race from Sam Masters, who finished with 14 plus 2 bonus, and Luke Becker on 12 plus 1 bonus. The reverse fixture at Monmore Green saw the Aces reel off a succession of race wins, with captain Brady Kurtz in outstanding form with 15 points from 6 rides. But Wolves were the more solid side in the race to a 50-40 win to leave the visitors without a league point and nursing 2 injury concerns, with both Tom Brennan and Charles Wright crashing out. Well, let's hear from a few of those involved in the fixture. First of all, let's hear from Wolves star Sam Masters.
Well, Sam Masters, 4 points from the 2 meetings against Belle Vue today on Bank Holiday Monday, all but securing that playoff place now as well, which must be a big relief from the team.
Yeah, that was the plan, to try and get a point at Belle Vue and win today, and that's what we did. So I'm stoked for the boys. Everyone dug deep. These days are pretty hard, doing 2 meetings, and then a few of us were in Poland yesterday racing also. So it's been a hard slog, but we got what we wanted.
Yeah, and when you consider you got 4 points, obviously Dougie being ruled out on the morning, having to use rider replacement for him, and then coming back to Monmore with Stevie ruled out after aggravating an injury as well. So does that make it even more impressive from the boys?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're on the back foot at the start of the day with riding RR. That's hard enough. Well, riding 2 meetings is hard enough, let alone riding RR. So we all dug deep. We needed a guest there after Stevie got injured, because Stevie's been really good for us this year, and but we got the job done with what we had, so I'm happy.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about Belle Vue and the form they've been in, and could this finally be their year? But with the 2 performances, the 2 results that the Wolves have got today, does that send a gentle reminder not just to the Aces but the rest of the Premiership as well? Yeah,
that's right. Well, I mean, we always do pretty good around Belle Vue, but they've been spanking everyone at home the last few weeks, so we knew it was going to be tough, but to get a point from there just shows how strong we are, especially with a patched up team. And I'm not 100% fit myself, so I'm so stoked for the results today.
Yeah. When you look at the 2 reserves, Drew Kemp and Leon Flint, I know Pete Adams has been frustrated by the indifference in their scores and performances, but tonight you really saw them riding with some fire in the belly, didn't you?
Yeah, we needed the reserves today. This is when you have got a patched up team, you need the reserves doing pretty good, and Leon, especially Leon, every week's getting better and better around Wolverhampton, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, a trip to Sheffield on Thursday, like you say, it's all but secure, but really now in these last few away meetings, building into those playoffs, just want to keep the ball rolling, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get something out of keep the ball rolling with good results and get something out of Sheffield, and see what we can do, and that gives us confidence going into the playoffs if we continue the form.
Sam Masters, who just finding things a little tough going right at the end of that meeting. A very tough afternoon for him on the fitness front, you have to say, really putting his body to the test there, coming back not long ago from injury. And we'll hear a little bit more from Sam Masters later on, because of course he was the winner of the Championship League Riders' Championship last week at Poole. So we'll talk to him about that in just a while. Right now, let's get the Belle Vue point of view from the team manager, Mark Lemon, with Ryan Guest.
Well, Mark, we'll come on to the result and the performance here at Monmouth Green shortly. First and foremost, though, Tom Brennan and Charles Wright withdrawing from tonight. What's the latest update on those two?
Obviously, Charles has got a recurring shoulder injury, and obviously he's landed pretty heavy on that. So, we're a bit concerned about his wrist there, but that was his shoulder, and obviously, ruled out of the meeting with that. So he came down quite heavy. Tom, on the other hand, he's landed quite hard on his bottom, and quite an impact there. So he's basically got checked out. He did actually get up and walk out of the ambulance, but then moments later he's gone back to ambulance, so he's going to go off to hospital to get checked out. So unfortunately we got pretty much injury depleted tonight, and probably really affected our scoreline. But the other guys really rallied quite hard, and some pleasing episodes, especially with Brady Kurtz, on fire tonight. Just that one last place, and it was good to finish off with a 5-1. Yeah,
I was going to say, from the Aces perspective, really took it to the Wolves in those first 7 races, level at 21 points a piece, and that Heat 8, I think that was when Wolves got 2 back-to-back 5-1s, and that seemed to be a turning point in this fixture.
Yeah, it's funny how things pan out in Speedway. The momentum changed then. When we had some injury delays, and the Wolves obviously knowing the track. It's a tricky little track, isn't it? And they just came to the fore there and got a bit of a run. So it's Speedway. We would like to have got a point. 10-point deficit's not the end of the world. It looks like the top 4 is pretty much sort of established now. Just a few minor details and points and meetings to have to confirm that. But it could be an interesting time come playoffs.
Certainly could be. Always a little bit of neither whenever these two sides meet. Certainly showed at one point there was both paramedics out, and Matty Zagar live on the Eurosport cameras doing a bit of gardening on the inside gate, and then Wolves getting a track grade out as soon as he was ordered in. I saw you straight over to the phone, so not too pleased with that?
No, unnecessary. We see it quite often, really, and I think all you just ask for is a fair race strip, and there was no need for that, to be quite honest, but it goes on. But we have officialdom in place with SCB, and they should be controlling these meetings, but there's nothing really more to add. It's just it's someone just trying to get an advantage. Yeah,
like you say, playing a waiting game on the fitness of Charles and Tom, but looking ahead to next Monday at the National Speedway Stadium, Sheffield Tigers in town, and another famous rivalry.
Yeah, we'll sort of dust ourselves off after tonight, and really sort of look forward to embrace that. Hopefully another classic encounter with the Tigers and the War of the Roses. Like I said, we're coming to the pointy end of the season, so these meetings really matter. It's important to sort of get some sort of advantage and sort of a confidence booster coming towards the playoffs. So there's rivalries between the Wolves and the Aces, and obviously the War of the Roses is going to be no different.
Mark, many thanks for speaking to us.
No worries, cheers.
There's Mark Lemon then chatting with Ryan Guest. Ryan also caught up with one of Belle Vue's star men, Brady Kurtz.
Well, Brady, a 10-point defeat here at Wolverhampton on Bank Holiday Monday night, and it turned out to be a bruising night for the Aces as well.
Yeah, it's disappointing, really. That it's not really what we wanted with Tom and Charles both being off. It was really difficult after that. So hopefully that we can get them back fit, and hopefully they're going to be all good. We really need them, and it's a shame when stuff like this happens, but this is the sport, and all we can do is wish them the best, and hopefully for a quick recovery. If not, sooner.
Yeah, going into that Heat 8 as well, when Tom did crash out in the initial stage and it was all square, 21 points apiece. So how much of a turning point was that, perhaps?
Oh, absolutely. Well, clearly it just went downhill from there. You can't really come to a match missing 2 riders without RR or anything to cover. So, it's Tom and Charles have both been doing good, and we've seen how good Charles can go around Wolves. So it's it may be one that slipped away from us, but we can hold our heads high. I think 10-point defeat, missing 2 riders, is not so bad at the end of the day. So it's been an okay day for us. We got the win at home, which was important, and we need to keep working towards the next matches in the playoffs.
Like you say, everyone's been talking about Belle Vue, the informed side, working the way towards the playoffs, but maybe the way the 2 performances have been today, such 2 close contested meetings, maybe just a little reminder going into that business end of the season.
Absolutely, we never thought we were too good, that's for sure. Wolves have always been our toughest customers. I think it's kind of strange that our tracks are so absolutely different, but we both go quite well on the opposite one. So we can say it was a hard-fought battle today, and we'll try and get our full team back, and as will Wolves as well. They were missing some guys, so we can all we can do is look for the playoffs, really.
Looking at yourself individually here tonight, 6 rides, 5 wins, 3 in successive heats as well, so a busy night for yourself and a successful one too.
I was pretty disappointed with this morning's performance. Obviously we got the win, which was important, but I was far from my best, and I really wanted to correct that. I haven't had too many good matches around Wolves in the past, so it's definitely nice to have a good one here, and hopefully if we do happen to come back for the playoffs, I can bring that with me. Yep.
Next up for the team at the National Speedway Stadium, another good rivalry with the Sheffield Tigers, and obviously dished out a big victory over them last time you met.
Yeah, Sheffield were looking really strong at the start of the year, and they've had some injury problems and stuff now as well, so I'm sure they're going to be looking to bounce back and push for the playoffs as well. And it's just like I said before, we just need to keep focused, keep pushing and get the momentum, and we need to show everyone that we're the best side again.
Belle Vue captain Brady Kurtz chatting with Ryan Guest. It was a bruising encounter for the Aces, with Tom Brennan and Charles Wright both withdrawing. Tom Brennan, though, has released a statement saying that he's going to wait and see if he can manage to race in the Under-21 final at Birmingham on Wednesday, and hopeful to get back on a bike as soon as possible. The same for Charles Wright, but looks like he's going to be absent for a week or 2 as well, and is indeed missing for Redcar on Tuesday at the time of recording this. We'll hear from Tom Brennan, though, on the Under-21 final very soon. Someone who finished just behind Tom last year in the Under-21 final was Drew Kemp, and he was, of course, racing at reserve for Wolves in both of those fixtures, and they say reserves win meetings, and certainly the reserve department at Wolves has found its groove somewhat lately. Although that said, it's been a bruising time online for some of these young riders, with the keyboard warriors coming out with their advice on what they would do, and Drew certainly got a message for those in just a sec. But here's Drew Kemp with a nice little chat with Ryan Guest now. Well,
Drew, from a Wolverhampton team perspective, obviously more or less clinching that playoff place with 4 points from the 2 meetings against Belle Vue today, and 2 real dogged performances as well.
Yeah, obviously we knew what we had to do coming into these 2 meetings. Obviously 4 points was not necessary, but it was to make life easier for ourselves and to sort of really is concrete the words? Like us into the, our position in the top 4. That's what we needed to do. So, with the boys pulled together and we all chipped in the points well, and to come away from Belle Vue with a point is a good result, and to win tonight is a good result as well.
Really had to come together as a group as well. Obviously Sam's nowhere near 100% fit at the moment. Dougie obviously pulling out on the morning of the meeting, Stevie pulling out after the meeting at Belle Vue as well, so like you say, really had to come together.
Yeah, it's not ideal when you're missing 2 riders, and 3 of your riders particularly aren't at their best. Obviously Sam, you can tell he wasn't at his full fitness tonight, but for him to come and do what he's doing at the minute, and doing as well as he is, it's pretty good. So if we can sort of do that when we are sort of 50% as a team, then it really sort of shows what we are capable of when we're all at full fitness and all chipping in the points.
Definitely. Looking at the night fixture here at Monmouth Green, obviously it was pretty tight in the opening half. Then Belle Vue had a couple of riders pull out injured, but nevertheless Wolves still had a job to do against the opposition that were remaining, and certainly did that in style in the end.
Yeah, you can only beat what's in front of you at the end of the day, can't you? So as you say, it was pretty close at the start, but for us to really stretch our legs in the end was really good for us, and it just makes everything a bit more relaxing. Everyone's not so tense, and people can sort of start to do well again, so no pressure on us. So yeah, we're all enjoying it when it's going well, and it's great to be a part of the team, how it's going at the minute, and hopefully we can carry this form into the playoffs.
Obviously a lot has been said about the Wolverhampton reserves. Obviously it's two young Brits battling the way in the top league. It's not easy, and we've certainly seen the effort you've been putting in, and behind the scenes it's probably been even more, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think I've been called sort of every name under the sun a Speedway fan can call me. It's not nice when you see all that stuff, but at the end of the day, people forget I'm still a 20-year-old kid at the end of the day. It's not easy at all, and people think that we just get on the bike and that we want to come last in races, but that's completely not the case. When it's nice to do well and to have good meetings like this, it's nice, a good feeling for me to sort of show some of the people that are some keyboard warriors that I do deserve in this league and to be in this league, and there's a reason why I am. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, not listen to what they're saying, and hopefully I'll have the last laugh in the end. Yeah,
let's not forget as well, obviously Leon's the name rising star, so you're stuck at number 6, and obviously Leon's coming up against the number 7s on a couple more occasions. For yourself, you're coming up against the heat leaders or the opposite number 6 as well.
Exactly, and I think people forget that as well, but it's only going to make me a better rider racing against better riders as such, and I can tell myself that I'm definitely getting there with some of the riders and starting to beat some of the top boys. So I don't like to make things easy for myself, and it shows my riding and the number I'm at. So if I can continue doing what I'm doing, just a little bit more better, then we'll be all right.
We saw it against Kings Lynn. I think it was 1 point from 3 or 4 outings. You had Peter kept you in Heat 14. You won that. Backed that up with a great meeting against Peterborough. But then tonight as well, 6 paid 8, I think it was. But you really look to be riding with some fire in your belly.
Yeah, to be honest, around this track, I struggle a little bit. With me being, I wouldn't really say my height really helps, but obviously it helps being a smaller rider around here, how tight it is. So it takes a little bit of, sometimes I'm good around here, I'm a little bit inconsistent around here, and I think that's probably the reason why. So to have some good meetings around here, and obviously I can't really explain why I go from those 1 points to win the race, but that's something I'm trying to iron out in my racing in general everywhere. Yep. So if I can continue finishing on race wins and stuff like that, and then it makes it good for me. Yeah,
and just finally, like you say, it's all a learning process. You're still 20 years old. You're racing in the top flight, which is a privilege in itself. But if you could save your best performances right for the business end of the season when it matters most, I think a lot of people had forgive you for the rest.
Yeah, just one of those things. Don't want to get my average up too high. So now is the time to really pull my finger out and get my arse into gear, really, and you said business end of the season, so the fans don't need to panic. I know what I need to do, and we'll be good.
True, brilliant stuff tonight.
Thank you.
There are certain people who you will never please, I think, in Speedway, and there will always be people who seem to come out spouting their wisdom, having never set foot on a track or even a speedway bike, and seem to know better than these lads of how to do the job. But Drew Kemp there with his own message, and he's going to keep on doing what he's doing because it does seem to be working pretty well for him at the moment in time. Sheffield were 32-28 winners at Peterborough in a meeting abandoned after 10 races due to tyre issues at the East of England arena. The decision was taken to call a halt after several problems during the meeting, culminating in a major failure for Benjamin Basso in Heat 10. Basso still top scored for the Panthers with 10+1, whilst Tobias Musielak scored 8 for the Tigers, who consolidated their place in the Premiership's top 4. A Peterborough statement said that rider safety is paramount and the club do not wish to see riders put at risk, and therefore a decision had to be taken on safety grounds to call a halt to racing, going on to say, "We never like to abandon meetings, especially when the reason is for something other than weather or track conditions, but on this occasion it was the only decision which could be taken." Let's hear from the Sheffield team boss, though, Simon Stead.
So Simon, abandoned here at the East of England Arena. Perhaps you can tell us why that was.
The tyres couldn't last a race, so either a fresh edge has not lasted a race, and there's been sort of 4 or 5 punctures during the race. I don't know what's caused it today in particular. I don't know what the difference is between today and a normal race day here, or if they've been having more issues that not been issued to the powers that be, and obviously a resolution has to be found. Today's not the day for that. It's about rider safety. That's paramount. The riders weren't confident that a single tyre could last 4 laps, and when it comes down to that, you can't go out and ride safely, in my opinion, and the rest of the guys are all of the same opinion.
So it finished Peterborough 28, Sheffield 32. The result stands, despite there being the insufficient number of tyres to complete the meeting, and it gives Sheffield 3 Premiership points. So after the bank holiday meetings, the Premiership table looking like this. Ipswich are still top, ridden 17 meetings, and they've got 37 points. In second place are Wolverhampton Wolves at the moment. They've ridden 18 meetings and have 34 points. They are all but sure of heading into the playoffs now, as are Ipswich. It would take Kings Lynn to go unbeaten and have particularly big wins. And of course, Kings Lynn have still got a race against Wolverhampton Wolves yet as well. So Kings Lynn, anything other than absolute perfection for the rest of the season, and that would be the only thing that would cost Wolves their playoff place. So I think you're probably going to assume that Kings Lynn would drop a point somewhere, and the margin of victories wouldn't be big enough either. So 34 points for Wolves pretty much sees them guaranteed for the playoffs. And then behind them, with 16 meetings ridden and 32 points, are Belle Vue Aces, so they're on the cusp of being assured as well. And then the Sheffield Tigers with 30 points, having ridden 14 meetings. It's going to be a very busy few weeks for the Sheffield Tigers to catch up those meetings, and I think there's a plan to race a couple of times a week in some weeks as well to catch up on those fixtures. So busy time ahead for Tigers fans, but they will catch up, and if of course they win those meetings in hand, Sheffield could still go steaming up to the top of the table. Kings Lynn Stars are in 5th place, 15 matches ridden and 18 points on the board. And then Peterborough Panthers on 16 matches ridden and 10 points down at the bottom as well. So that's how things look in the Premiership as far as the league table is concerned. And looking ahead to the upcoming fixtures, well, Kings Lynn are racing against Peterborough on Thursday and Sheffield taking on Wolverhampton. Both of those in the Premiership, both starting at 7:30. That's at Thursday, September the 1st. The next action in the Premiership will be on Monday, and we've got 2 fixtures on Monday the 5th of September. A War of the Roses, Belle Vue versus Sheffield at 7:30 at the National Speedway Stadium, and Peterborough Panthers versus the Ipswich Witches, and that is on Eurosport 2, the chosen fixture there on Monday night, Peterborough versus Ipswich. And of course, as we just mentioned, Ipswich have booked their place in the playoff places in the Premiership, and that was guaranteed at Vauxhall against Wolves last week. And commentating on Eurosport on Monday night was Danny King, a member of the Ipswich Witches side, and he had a quick catch-up with Ryan Guest.
Well, Danny, it was another brilliant home performance at Vauxhall. I know Wolverhampton were a bit hampered with 1 or 2 riders struggling last Thursday. Nevertheless, which is the first team to book the place in the Premiership playoffs this year?
Yeah, obviously it was a great result for us. You have to feel a bit for Wolves. We've been in that situation before and it's not nice, so yeah, we felt a bit bad for them, but at the end of the day it's Speedway and you can only race what's in front of you, and it was nice to seal that spot, as you say.
Nice to get it wrapped up nice and early as well. You never really want it going down to those last few meetings, do you?
No, we have a lot of experience of that from beginning of the year. Every week seemed to be a last seed decider, but no, it was certainly a good team performance, and the new boys seem to have settled in really well. So all in all, it's been a positive few weeks for Ipswich, and hopefully we can keep this ball rolling now into the playoffs.
Yeah, a couple of meetings coming up next week against Peterborough, based on what's happened on Monday at Peterborough as well. Could be an interesting trip there.
Yeah, it could, but it's a track we all enjoy. Unfortunately, everyone seems to enjoy it, so it's always going to be a tough meeting. But it's one of them things. We just have to wait and see how it plays out. But certainly nice to have a little bit of pressure off. But we don't really look at it that way. We want to win every meeting and try and build momentum moving forwards.
Like you say, it's all about keeping that ball rolling as well, isn't it, into the playoffs?
Absolutely. You want to go into the playoffs on your top form and everyone firing. So that's the plan.
Obviously, we spoke in depth about last year as well, and obviously it's been a tough time for the Witches at points, but this year certainly seems a totally different atmosphere around Foxhall.
100%. You have to give a lot of credit to the club. They've gone out and they've made a bold signing in Jason Doyle, and it's proved the point. When you've got a leader like Jason in the team and someone of his class, it shows throughout the rest of the team. And I can't say anything bad about the guy. He's been fantastic with every member of the team, including myself. Even the more experienced guys, he's there to lend a hand, and he leads by example. And when you've got someone like that who wants to win, and he's going out and winning Heat 1 for you every week with a big smile on his face, it makes you want to win. And he's been a huge key to the success we've had.
And I know we've still got a long way to go yet. Still plenty of key races, key meetings to come. But nevertheless, you've got a long association with Ipswich. What would it mean if you could lift the league title in the top flight with the Witches?
It'd mean everything to me. Everyone knows that Ipswich is very close to my heart, and I do look at it as my home. And they gave me a chance when I was 16 and really got me where I am today. And I'd love to repay that favour. And it's been a dream of mine for a long time to lift the trophy for Ipswich. And we seem to keep falling a bit short, but hopefully this year will be the year and I'll be able to stand and lift that trophy in front of the home fans.
Well, there's Danny King chatting with Ryan Guest, and perhaps famous last words there, because they were talking about Ipswich having a full team to choose from. Not quite the case anymore, because Daniel Hume has suffered a broken collarbone whilst riding in France. He's awaiting news on whether an operation's needed or not, but still hopeful of returning for the playoffs. So all the best to Daniel Hume. Danny King had a night off on Monday, but he was working hard. He was working alongside Kelvin Tatum on the Eurosport coverage in the commentary box. And we can hear from the British legend himself right now, because Kelvin also fresh back from Wroclaw, where he was watching a great night for the British riders in the Grand Prix series, not least all three Brits getting through to the same semi-final. Dan Bewley, Robert Lambert and Ty Woofenden up against Bartosz Szmarszlik in that semi. Ultimately, though, Dan Bewley did it again. A second Grand Prix round in as many weeks. It's quite incredible. He now finds himself third in the world. Here's Kelvin Tatum and his look back on the Grand Prix weekend with Ryan Guest.
Well, obviously the Grand Prix series resumed a couple of weeks ago now. 2 rounds have passed, and certainly Dan Bewley's come back a totally different character, and certainly starting to set the world alight at the minute.
Yeah, he's riding on the crest of a wave, in Gorzów, just before this sort of summer break, if you want to call it that. He just missed out making the final there, and he was a little unlucky there. But it was crazy, because as we were, in Cardiff, everybody's going, oh, he's going to win. And I'm thinking, well, he actually hasn't made a final yet. But, his performance on the night, tricky conditions, just extraordinary. And, to be the first one since Chris Harris to do it, I think, and we've had a 3-year break from Cardiff. It was sensational way to do it. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Like you say, people were actually talking about him winning it, even going into that break, as you mentioned, despite not making the final. So to do it with a little bit of expectation on his shoulders as well, that's even more impressive.
Yes, and I think this is the key to him. He has this great temperament. He just seems very calm, relaxed. He's kind of just letting it all sort of float over him. And he just, it's a stunning start in the final. If he was feeling any nerves there or feeling a little bit twitchy, I must say that he would have maybe he would have blown it, but he didn't. He absolutely nailed it. So it was a marvellous display actually from him.
And then some more expectation, obviously, on his home track last time out, and does it back to back.
Yeah, and I think in some ways, he was probably even more chuffed with that one, because obviously he's won a Grand Prix. Everybody again talking about him being a winner, back-to-back Grand Prix winner. Didn't look likely after 4 rides. 5 points out of 4 rides, looking tough, but won his last ride, squeaked in. And then, to be perfectly honest, he never looked like not winning it, And then in the final, he's so fast and he looks really good on the bike. It's not leery, it's not wild, it's all under control. And it's a special time for him.
Almost likely to forget in some ways that this is his first year in the Grand Prix series. So not only to win 2 Grand Prix, to win them back to back, just how impressive is that, and how hard is it to do?
Well, it's extremely impressive. I think it's Bartosz Zmarzlik like when he burst on the scene. It really is that significant, and it's very hard to do. Nobody gifts you a Grand Prix win, that's for sure, and certainly he had to work for it in Wrocław. You say it's his debut season, you're absolutely right, but in actual fact, if you look into it a little deeper, he shouldn't even be there. If we didn't have a war going on, then he wouldn't be in this series. So, Jack Holder also riding well as well. But for Dan Bewley, he's taken this opportunity and he's running with it, and long may it last.
Let's not forget there were actually 2 Brits on the podium on Saturday night as well. A much improved display from Robert Lambert.
Yeah, good to see that, because he was clearly frustrated and disappointed after Cardiff. Home Grand Prix didn't happen for him. And right from the get-go, Bewley and Lambert put on a great show in Heat 2. And he was competitive all night. So, it's always frustrating to miss out in the final, not to make the rostrum, and for him to steal it off of Janowski and stand on the box. I'm sure it was a proud moment for him.
Great for British Speedway as well. I think I read somewhere over the weekend it was the first time since 2000 maybe that 2 Brits have been on the podium as well, so a massive step in the right direction from a British Speedway perspective.
Yeah, 2 quality riders. We've got 3 riders in the Grand Prix that are obviously Woofenden is a proven rider. He hasn't had his best season, but Lambert and Bewley are becoming genuine world-class riders, and at their age they're going to be around for another decade, 15 years. So that is inspiring for lots of kids in Britain. That's what you can achieve.
Just very finally, going into these last few rounds, I know everyone, despite him not at his best thoughts, Zmarzlik was going to be running away with it, but maybe just a few questions being asked perhaps?
Yeah, I think so. I think in some ways the weight of expectation is possibly getting to him a little bit. No Laguta. Everybody's saying that he was going to be the world champion before he even fired a bike up. So in some ways I can understand it, and he hasn't quite hit the consistency that maintained that level as he did last year. I sense he'll do it, but I think it could get quite close.
It could well. Cheers, Kelvin.
No worries.
It's Kelvin Tatum chatting with Ryan Guest, and Kelvin is getting a brand new podcast of his very own. And I know that a lot of people used to like listening to Kelvin's podcast when he used to do the one with Nigel Pearson. I'm honoured to say that Kelvin approached me to help him make his new podcast, and that is going to start later this week, and he's starting big. His guest will be Dan Bewley, and we've got a chat with Kelvin and myself chatting with Dan Bewley for an hour or so, covering many topics, including that win in Cardiff, and also the chances of him coming back to Great Britain, and his backstory, growing up in Workington, riding the new Northside track, all in that podcast, which will be out this Thursday, I think is the plan, Thursday night. So look out for that. It's called Tatum Talks with Kelvin Tatum, funnily enough. Coming up in the next part of No Brakes, No Fear, we are turning our attention firmly on the stars of the future, because it is the British Under-21 final at Birmingham. It's the first time Birmingham have hosted a major event for quite some time. I think, as far as a proper major event goes, probably looking back around 2008, we think, if not longer. So we'll hear from Nigel Tolley, who's one of the owners at Birmingham, is the leader of the consortium there, and the man really who has put his money where his mouth is to get Birmingham back up and running and back in the right direction. So we'll hear from Nigel Tolley on hosting not just this meeting this week, but also looking ahead to next year, because already plans are in place and they're already starting to talk to riders and all this kind of thing. So we'll have an update from Nigel Tolley and look ahead to the Under-21 final at Birmingham, and plus we'll hear from a couple of the favourites, Tom Brennan and Leon Flint, who will be joining us in the next part of No Brakes, No Fear.
No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome back. Still to come, we'll hear from Neil Middleditch ahead of his testimonial, which takes place on Wednesday, the 31st of August. And right now, we're turning the attention very much on the Birmingham Brummies, because there's been a couple of articles of news about the Brummies and their plans for 2023. And it's also the venue for the British Under-21 final, also on Wednesday, the 31st of August. But first of all, to this news that Birmingham Speedway have verbally agreed a stadium lease at Perry Bar for the 2023 season. It's another big boost for the Curtis Sport Brummies, who've already declared their intentions to race in next year's championship to the British Speedway Promoters Limited. And I'm pleased to say that consortium leader Nigel Tolley is with us. Nigel, welcome to No Brakes, No Fear. Tell us about this news and tell us about where you're at with preparations for 2023, because it sounds like now you're good to go. You've got the green light, certainly internally. You've got this mission to run next year, and now it seems that conversations are being had to get yourselves into a better position for 2023. Just give us an update on the latest from Perry Bar.
Right, yeah, well, it's all systems go, basically. Yes, we've verbally agreed the lease for next year. That's all set. We want to make sure we're not in the position we were last year, where we had to basically wait until towards the end of January to set up the team. We want to get in there early, and we want to make sure that we've got the correct team. Last year, when we set this up, I promised the supporters that we'd get a team that would get into the playoffs this season, and we've let the supporters down on that. And I want to make absolutely sure that doesn't happen for next year. We fully intend to have a team that will make the playoffs next season. And we are getting approached by riders, already that want to come to us for next season. A lot of riders do want a midweek team, and they want a team in the Midlands. So I'm very much looking forward to next year's team.
And what have you learnt over the course of this year? Because, of course, getting involved with Birmingham, obviously any speedway club, there's a number of challenges to overcome, and especially when you've not actually, put your money where your mouth is, as I suppose, as many people will talk about, that getting involved in a club and lots of things probably come up along the way. What have you learnt this year that you're probably keen to avoid for next year?
Well, it isn't in so much avoiding for next year, but it's learning exactly what has to happen. I think we were one of the first teams to experience an abandoned meeting because we'd only got one set of paramedics and one ambulance. When we were told, it could be 3 hours before a county ambulance arrived, which wasn't obviously any good at all. And I think we were the first team after that to start to have 2 sets of paramedics and 2 ambulances on site for each meeting. Mm-hmm. That's cost us, but it was necessary. We couldn't afford to have another meeting that were in the same position as that. There's little things you learn about. The biggest headache is sheeting the greyhound track. That takes an enormous amount of time on a Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. And then again, after the meeting is finished on a Wednesday, the sheets have to be taken off again. And we have to be very careful with the greyhound track on that, for fear of tainting the greyhound track, contaminating the greyhound track. Mm-hmm. That becomes even more difficult if it's rain, and because all of a sudden the sheets are 4 times the weight of when they're dry. And we have to make sure again that shale doesn't come off the covers and onto the greyhound track. There's little things like that all the way through. We rely on volunteers for that. And, we're trying to build our volunteer base, and they're an absolutely superb bunch. They're there at the moment. They're at Perry Bar at the moment, preparing covering the greyhound track. They have been all afternoon. And we've got the track being worked on at the moment up there as well, to make sure we've got enough water down on it this evening, because obviously I don't think we've had any. We didn't have a meeting last week, and I don't think we've had any rain on that track since the meeting before. I looked at it on Sunday, and it really was like a motorway surface. It had dried out that much. It was absolutely rock hard. And, of course, there's nothing like natural rain. But, you know, the bouncers out there now watering the track. We're going to need it to start preparing the track properly in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
There's little things that you learn all the way through. The list is just endless. When we set up the business plan, I was given a list of all the weekly outgoings, which we discovered really are wildly inaccurate. But obviously I know all of that now, so I know exactly how much it's going to cost next season. So we're a lot better prepared. We've got everything under control now, and we shall go into next season being able to concentrate on getting into those playoff places. We're still not getting the numbers in. A big exercise we're doing over this winter is promoting Speedway, Birmingham Speedway, but we need Speedway promoted in general throughout the country. The crowds that we've got out at the moment, they're the old, absolutely superb supporters, but they're getting older and older. And we're losing a few. We need to get a new generation of supporters into Speedway, not just in Birmingham, throughout the country. And I'm determined that we're going to get it right at Birmingham and get it really promoted for next year. A lot of things to do, but we will get there.
Yeah, you certainly sound like you're a man on a mission. I have to say as well, from doing this podcast, and we get a rough idea of where people are listening, and Birmingham is very much up the top of areas in the country where people listen to the British Speedway podcast. So therefore, they're there. It's just getting them out. And as you say, maybe some of them are a bit older now and can't make it. But you are in this big city, the second biggest city. London doesn't have its own club. Yep. Really, it must be frustrating for you knowing that the fan base is there, but it's just getting them through the gates.
It's getting them through the gates. It really is getting them through the gates. But we'll do other promotions at the same time as the Speedway, in between races up there and things like that, to make sure everybody is entertained all the way through the evening. There's a superb grandstand bar there, which has got about 800 people can be seated in there. There's a superb 3-course menu on there, which is cheap, but we're not getting the right crowd in there that wants to sit down, watch Speedway, and have a superb 3-course meal and your drinks served at the table with an absolutely superb view of the track. We need to attract that type of person in there as well. Then, of course, we need the sponsors, and we need people to fill we've got superb club rooms, etc. Boxes, superb boxes. We've got to promote those. We've had nobody in the boxes at all this year. So it's a matter of marketing and promoting very heavily this winter. But I am absolutely determined that we will get there. A lot of work, but we will get there. And as you say, it is the second biggest population in the country, the second city. I'm sure we can do a lot better. I was expecting more from the Commonwealth Games this year. Commonwealth Games is the stadium, Alexander Stadium, is right on our doorstep. It's literally, as the crow flies, about 600 yards away. And I thought we might boost our supporters from that. But to be quite honest, that was an absolute letdown. In actual fact, the main Wednesday, we couldn't have a meeting because it was the same day as the 100-metre and 200 metres, I think 400 metres final. And we were told that we couldn't have a meeting because the sounds of the bikes would be coming over the sounds of the 100-metre final, etc. So we lost the meeting on that. So I was expecting big things from the Commonwealth Games, a lot of positive, and it's all turned out negative, including the roadworks. That's a big advantage that we've got now. it's been chaos around Perry Bar for the last 2 years with roadworks. Absolute nightmare. That has now finished. And it's a clear run. I mean, it's off Junction 7 of the M6 now. It's literally a straight road. You're there within 3 or 4 minutes. So at least that's clear now. At least people haven't got to worry about the roadworks, which has been a nightmare. It's been one nightmare after another, to be quite honest.
Yeah. It's been quite a year for you, and injuries have obviously played a part, and you can't really plan for those because things happen in Speedway. But those are the cards you're dealt that you may not be dealt next year. But I think to get your plan together and announce your intention must put you in a strong position for signing riders, because riders are now obviously coming to the end of this year, starting to look not just in this country but abroad as well at their options. So for you to be first out. And able to say, look, as you mentioned, many riders are based in the Midlands or looking for airports that are going to be able to get them out to wherever it is they're going to play. You do have that, and it puts you in a strong position, I think, really, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, yeah. I mean, we're 20 minutes away from Birmingham Airport, hour and a half to the London airports, straight motorway run. Well, we must be popular. The riders must be thinking of us, because we've literally had a dozen riders so far approach us that would like to come to us for next season. So we're obviously getting that bit right. But it's something we've got to work on. And one thing you've got to remember is that I've said playoffs, we could put together a team that would win the league. But that team costs money, and that doesn't equate to the increase in people through the turnstiles. So, you have to watch it a little bit from that angle as well. But, I'm sure it will make a difference with people coming in through the turnstile. We don't want a team that's going to run away with victories every meeting, because it makes for boring entertainment. It's got to be exciting racing up there. And we will be, there will be exciting riders in the team. We may see some riders from the past appearing at Perry Bar next season. That's a possibility. But certainly, it's going to be a strong team. Certainly will be a strong team. Very much looking forward to that.
Well, that's exciting news for the Brummies faithful there. That that is the talk and makes for something to look forward to for next year. And you've got this big event now coming up this week, of course, the Tolley Badgers British Under-21 final, which takes place August 31st, and you've got some of the country's top youngsters. But first of all, though, great for Birmingham to be hosting this event. It's one of the bigger events in British Speedway, and the next generation of riders. You've got some great riders on show, and always usually produces great racing as well. And as I say, I think it's a long time. I was talking with Ryan Guest earlier, and we were trying to work out when Birmingham probably had a meeting of this kind of ilk, and maybe the Elite League Riders Championship 2008 was where we went back to. So it's the first time in a long time you've had something this big.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's an important meeting. It's going to be a very exciting meeting, but it's a very important meeting. The British Under-21 Championship, superb lineup. There's a few that have dropped out, obviously, and I haven't. I've been out all day today. I had a very quick word with Lawrence tomorrow. I don't know if you know more than me on this. Whether Tom Brennan is going to be riding tomorrow after his fall last night. I'm very much hoping he is, but as I say this morning, the news wasn't particularly marvellous on that. But we shall see. We shall see what develops on that.
The latest we heard was a statement from Tom saying that he's going to wait and see. So I think it's going to be a late call. I think he's still hoping to, but it might not be possible, just depending. But his injuries are not
that's the latest.
So we'll wait and see. I know that Kyle Bickley has dropped out and Max Perry replaces him. But so the lineup as we have it then is Vinnie Ford, Leon Flint, Max Perry, Jody Scott, Harry McGurk, Henry Atkins, Joe Thompson, Tom Brennan, Drew Kemp, Nathan Ablett, Sam Hagan, Sam McGurk, Dan Thompson, Jason Edwards, Jordan Jenkins, Connor Bailey, and Alex Goldsborough is the other reserve. So there'll be another track reserve to put in there because Max Perry's taking one. So that's the lineup as it stands. A bit of a question mark over Tom Brennan, of course, which is a shame because he is the reigning under-21 champion. He won that at Redcar last year in the staging of it. And let's hear from him right now, speaking about the under-21 tournament with Ryan Guest.
Yeah, as you say, very different feeling, obviously, going into this year compared to last year. Last year was a little bit of an unknown. I've only done it a handful of times, but actually probably the once. So for me, it was almost a new experience, and ready to go and defend my title.
Defending your title at a track you know very well from this year, indeed. Plenty of guest bookings at Birmingham's Perry Barr Stadium. Is that something you hope can stand you in good stead?
I hope so. I mean, I'll have to come and tell you after the meeting tomorrow. But no, for us, Wednesday. But no, I mean, for me, obviously, I've had plenty of race time there. So over just the past few weeks. So hopefully, it definitely puts me in a better place than if I hadn't seen the track before. But you never know. I mean, sometimes in those meetings, you just need a little bit of luck, and hopefully, that's on my side.
I know there's a fair few riders who feel they've got a genuine shot at the title this year, but nevertheless, with everything you've achieved in 2022, particularly in the Premiership with Belle Vue and the Rising Star situation, do you think you're going to be the front runner to retain that title?
I hope so. Always hope so. I mean, we have to turn up to every Spear meeting, and I'm trying to do the best we can. I mean, as long as I come away from that meeting knowing I put 100% in, which we always do, I'll feel happy. Obviously, I'll be lying if I say that I'm obviously going there not to go win it, because I am. You know, obviously, I'm there to go defend my title, and hopefully I can. I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of guys chasing my tail, and like you say, it takes a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, and whoever wins on the night will obviously be the best rider. So
yeah, I know whenever you've had a season like you've had this season as well, you always want to be able to look back later on in your career and see an honour on your CV with that year next to it as well. So how much would it mean to you if you could obviously add an individual honour with the season that you've had so far?
Yeah, massively. Obviously, for me, my last year in it, I obviously want to try and end it well, and sort of. I mean, obviously the under 21 is obviously like a stepping stone of sort of where I want to be in the future. So for me, it's obviously means a massive deal, but it isn't obviously the all event. So for me, it's definitely to gain some experience. Obviously, might have put me in touch. Obviously, maybe some new people, some new clubs, which might have put my name out there, which is always a bonus. So no, I mean, as I say, all in, and hopefully come out with the result we want.
Well, there's Tom Brennan, the reigning British under-21 champion, and that was recorded at Monmore, in fact, before he ended up having that crash in the meeting with Belle Vue on Monday night, which was on Eurosport 2. So as it stands at the time of recording this, Tom is not sure if he's going to be riding or not. By the time you listen to this, you will probably know more about that situation. So good luck to Tom, fingers crossed, but it wouldn't be a surprise to see him miss out, unfortunately, in case he is the reigning champion. But also Nigel Tolley, who is with us right now. He's a rider that goes very well around Perry Barr because he's ridden for the Brummies a number of times this year.
He does, yeah. He likes the track. He does like the track. Yeah, it'll be sad if Tom can't make it tomorrow. Let's just hope he can. I know he'll do his best to be there, but we shall have to see on that. But as you just read out, it's a very, very exciting lineup.
Well, one rider who is hoping to add to some silverware he's already won this year is Leon Flint, the reigning under-19 British champion. Can he add the under-21 championship to his collection? Well, his thoughts with Ryan Guest.
Well, Leon, obviously a great individual achievement last month winning the British under-19s. Now the attention's turned to the next level up, the under-21s. Your thoughts going into Wednesday night at Perry Barr?
Yeah, especially after that performance there, quite positive. Been in a bit of a rut the past couple of meetings, so hopefully finally got out of that, and all looking on to Wednesday now, and hopefully can put a shift in.
After winning the under-19s, you know you've got what it takes to win these individual events as well?
Yeah, totally. I know I've got what it takes for the under-21s, and I know what I've, on my day, got what it takes for the British final, so it's all just... all about turning up on the day and delivering. So hopefully I've got a day off tomorrow, and get rested up and going guns blazing on Wednesday.
Always helps in a way when it's at a track and a venue you know very well, and that's certainly the case with Birmingham's Perry Barr.
Yeah, it has changed over the years. Just how much dirt and all the boring stuff with it. To be fair, but yeah, last time I was there, struggled to start with, and then finished off with 3 wins, one including Heat 15. So going there with hopefully a decent setup in mind, and hopefully we can come out on top.
Yeah. What would it mean if you could add another individual title to your CV so soon after your last one?
Yeah, it'd be awesome, obviously. But like I say, I believe I can do it. So I just like to say, we need to work hard. I don't know what the status is with Tom now after taking a heavy fall. Hopefully he's all right, and hopefully he can make his place in the lineup for Wednesday. It would be a bit more ideal for me if he wasn't in it, but Tom's a very good friend of mine, and I hope he's all good, and hopefully he can, like I say, make his place Wednesday.
Yeah, it always helps when you go into a meeting like that on the back of a positive individual display. Certainly had that for Wolverhampton against Belle Vue at Monmouth Green on Monday night.
Yeah, terrible night for us at their place. Managed to correct it all tonight, and going off good form, so hopefully can keep it running through now and on to the end of the season.
Looking how you were riding Monmouth Green tonight, I know you've found some of the lines a bit frustrating at times, struggling to get on them, but showed plenty of speed and looked like you rode Monmouth Green the best you probably ever have tonight.
Probably, yeah. Just been trying to keep the correct attitude as much as I've wanted to give up with it all, to be fair, with how tough it's been this year, with just money and all the rest of the things. I've always had that thought in my head, how bored I am and how lucky I actually am to get to ride my bike across the world and get paid for it. So yeah, it's all just try to stay humble and remember why I started, and just enjoy it.
There's Leon Flint then, and surely one of the front runners for the British Under-21 Championships, which takes place at Perry Bar on Wednesday. Always a great meeting. If you can make it down there, get down to Perry Bar and sample some of the speedway that is going to be on offer. And of course, see some of the upcoming talent, the next generation of speedway riders, and look at some of the names that have been on that trophy in past years. Tom Brennan, of course, the reigning champion, Dan Bewley, Robert Lambert, Kyle Howarth, Ty Woofenden. Just some of the names over the last 10 years that have won the British Under-21 title, and who will be the name going on that trophy for 2022. Find out tomorrow. Heading down to Perry Bar. It's a 7:15 start. There's going to be obviously a parade and everything as well. But if you can't make it in person, it will be shown live on BSN, British Speedway Network. Watch.britishspeedway.co.uk to find out more and how you can live stream that event wherever you are in the UK or indeed the world. And Nigel, for you, of course, I mentioned some of the details there, but the stage is set at Perry Bar for this big event now.
The weather's forecast is good for tomorrow as well. We could have done with a little bit of rain, as I said, really. This would be lovely if we had nice steady rain from now until about 5 o'clock in the morning. But I don't think we're going to get that. It's clear blue sky almost at the moment.
Okay.
But, at least we've got plenty of water from a borehole. So we shall be all right on water in the track. But you can't beat natural rainfall. But we shall get there. We shall get there.
Good stuff. Well, look, thanks a lot for the update on everything, and good luck with the event on Wednesday, the Under-21 final, British Under-21 final at Perry Bar, and all the best for 2023.
Thanks very much. It's going to be an exciting year.
Birmingham Brummies consortium leader, the man at the helm really there, Nigel Tolley, speaking to us about the future for the Birmingham Brummies, which looks pretty rosy if Nigel has his way. And also the British Under-21 Championships, which get underway Wednesday, 7:15 at Perry Bar it's a big one. Get down there if you can, because there will be definitely some great racing and a lot on the line as well. That under-21 title for those young lads is, one of the big things they're looking for this season. So, yeah, definitely major speedway and stars of the future, of course, on show. Not just the ones that you know, but some of the other lads in that field will be the next generation behind them. Coming up then next on No Breaks, No Fear, we'll hear from Sam Masters, who won a bit of silverware himself last week at Poole Stadium in the Championship League Riders Championship, and he is the winner of that. The second time he's won it, so we'll hear from him on that one. And also hear a little bit from Louis Kerr, who was one of the riders who helped save Redcar's season. They were just moments, if not seconds, away from going out of the whole championship playoff picture this year. But a stellar performance from Louis Kerr and the rest of the Redcar Bears hauled them back into contention. Not least, of course, on Tuesday night when they had a job to do at Plymouth. And boy, did they do it. So reaction to that. And we'll hear from Neil Middleditch before the end as well. All to come on No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Coming up, a special interview with Neil Middleditch, who's marking his testimonial again. The second time he's had a testimonial. Find out the reason for that if you don't know the story very soon. Scott Mitchell, the former world champion darts player and owner of the Dartometer down at Poole Stadium, has had a chat with Midlow, and we'll hear that very soon. First of all, on the subject of Poole, though, let's hear from Sam Masters, who won the Championship League Riders Championship at Poole, of course in his Edinburgh Monarchs colours, and it was 11 years after his last triumph in the event. Masters emerged largely unscathed from a heavy pile-up in the first staging of the final, which also involved Ryan Douglas of Scunthorpe. Both of them went through the fence, actually, and onto the what was the dog track, but they were both able to walk away, although Dougie has been injured and not able to take his place in any of the racing since then, and best wishes to Dougie as his recovery continues. Masters then got the better of Pirate star Danny King and Redcar's Lewis Kerr to take the title, and here he is reflecting on that win with Ryan Guest.
Well, Sam, it was an eventful night down at Poole last Wednesday in the Championship League Riders, and like you say, to come out with everything you've gone through over the past month or so must have been feel like a massive achievement.
Yeah, I won that meeting back in 2011. I really want to do it again, and the season I've been having, I thought this was my year to do it. Then I broke the collarbone and hurt the shoulder, and I thought it's going to be tough. But then the night was going pretty good. I was still a little bit uncomfortable on the bike, but I was making good starts and getting around the track quite smooth. And so going into the final, I was pretty confident. But then we all hit the deck again, and I was thinking, not again. But the boys got the bike straightened up and dusted myself off and made a good start in the final, which got me the win.
Going to say, not only riding not 100% before that meeting, but to go through that in the grand final and pick yourself up, that does take a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, I've never felt this bad in my body, feel this bad in my whole life. So it's nice to be able to have been still scoring some points, and I suppose it takes your mind off it a bit when you've got injuries. And I mean, I've had worse meetings at Poole fully fit, to be honest, but I've had a good season, and it's nice that I can keep the form going even while I'm injured.
Nice to win it again individually, but from an Edinburgh Monarchs point of view, they love silverware. Their supporters, the management, they all love a trophy or two put up there as well. So nice for the club as well.
Yeah, that's right. It's not only for me. I'm wearing the Edinburgh jacket and winning it for them. I've pretty much won every trophy in that league with them now. So I was stoked to do it. Yeah, for the fans also.
So there is the winner of the 2022 Championship League Riders Championship, Sam Masters of the Edinburgh Monarchs. Well done to Sam. Well, there was also fireworks at the Echo Arena when Redcar and Scunthorpe faced each other. The two sides ultimately battling it out for that final playoff place in the championship, really. And Redcar pulled off an incredible comeback to defeat Scunthorpe 46-44. Last heat decider and no margin for error, because at one point Redcar were down by 10 points with 3 races remaining. So heading into Heat 13 and needing nothing from there on other than perfect 5-1s. And that is exactly what they did in the final 3 heats. 5-1s all the way and snatching victory with no margin for error. The Scorpions still took a league point, which moved them at that point to 6th in the table. Then the night after, Scunthorpe took a bit of a hammering at the hands of Berwick, who beat them 57-33 at Shieldfield Park. And that was Scunthorpe's season done up to that point. And it was all eyes on the Coliseum at Plymouth on Tuesday night when Plymouth were taking on Redcar. Redcar's final league match. And from there on, they needed, well, at least a point, ideally 3. And if they got 4, then that would move them into 5th and obviously change who they would face and mean that Plymouth would end up facing Poole. So it was all eyes on there. And, well, what an evening they had once again. I mean, if Louis Kerr hadn't done enough heroics on the Friday night, he was also well and truly involved in the action, along with guest for the evening as well, Richard Lawson, who was an honorary Redcar Bear. And Redcar defeated Plymouth for the first time this season in the league, that Plymouth have been defeated at home in the league. They've been unbeaten all the way through 2022 in the league matches. Tonight was the night it came unstuck, and Redcar raced to a 51-39 win over the Plymouth Gladiators. And that means, as I say, Plymouth actually finished 6th, and means that they will race against Poole Pirates in the next round. And Redcar will be facing the Edinburgh Monarchs, I think is the plan. Let's hear from, Louis Kerr and also Hans Anderson of the Plymouth Gladiators right now, speaking with Lee Kilby and Adam Roynan on BSN.
I'm probably a bit shocked at the moment. I know we didn't take anything for granted, but they really came in and surprised us and steamrolled us really on our own track. Some of us really underperformed today. Track was... no issues with the track. It's just they just wanted it more than us, and we couldn't really get the setup.
Just one of those meetings, really. And when 2 or 3 of you don't perform like you know you can perform, that is when you're up against it. Especially when they're really chomping at the bit to get what they need out of the meeting.
Yeah, they were really firing, and what can I say? Hats off. They wanted this more than we did, and they rode our track better than us. Fair play.
Absolutely, nice one, Hans.
And Louis, great meeting for the Bears tonight. As captain, you've got to be happy with the boys, right?
Yeah, extremely. I think we were really up for this tonight. We wanted to get into the playoffs. Yeah, and we just hit them hard early on, and we managed to maintain that. And happy days.
I think that was the difference to get on top of them early on, getting out of the starts. Like Casper, never seen this track before. Pops out 2 wins. The team spirit seemed to be better than ever in the Redcar camp. So how was it for you guys?
It really is. We're all enjoying it. It's a good vibe about the place and all the boys. We just really wanted it tonight. We all want these extra meetings, and we want to do it. We've got the best fans in the country, and we want to carry on our season for those guys.
And you were giving it 100%. You enjoyed tonight?
Loved it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. A couple of races had to send it, but it's all good fun.
Brilliant.
And Hans, you will regroup. You've got the playoffs to come, so not all is lost. But you need to get the boys together, find out what guests you're going to have, and get yourselves lined up for that playoff.
Yeah, we definitely do. This was a big kick in the backside, but sometimes you have to take a step backwards to go 2 forward. So we're going to regroup. It's still been a good season for the Gladiators. We're in the playoff, but we don't want the season to end yet.
Now, some dates are still to be confirmed, of course, but the quarterfinals of the championship will therefore look like this. It'll be Poole Pirates versus the Plymouth Gladiators, and the Edinburgh Monarchs versus the Redcar Bears. There is one fixture confirmed so far, and the intention is for Poole Pirates to race on Wednesday the 7th of September, which will be the home leg at Poole Stadium against Plymouth Gladiators next Wednesday, 7:30pm, the start time at Poole Stadium. And of course, keep your eyes peeled for any other confirmations that come through over the coming days, because they need to get organised reasonably quickly over the first couple of weeks, really ideally, I think, of September. And then we'll move to the semi-finals when Leicester and Glasgow will drop into proceedings, with Leicester having their pick of those remaining quarter-finalists of whoever wins. Finally this week, another big event taking place in the Speedway calendar at Poole Stadium is Neil Middleditch's testimonial, which takes place on Wednesday, August the 31st. Now, it's third time lucky, and after a remarkable 38 years since first being awarded the events, the former Pirates captain and now team manager has been thwarted on two previous occasions, back in 1984 when the then promotion went into administration, and then in 2020 when the COVID-19 lockdown came in force just a week before his restaging. So it has indeed been a long time coming. He's amassed a stellar cast for his meeting, and prior to that he's had a sit-down chat with a massive Pirates fan and of course former world darts champion Scott Mitchell to reflect on his career and also look ahead to his big day, which is taking place on Wednesday. Here's Neil Middleditch, who starts by explaining some of the backstory as to why it's taken 38 years to get to this day.
Yes, it's amazing. People say to me, why is the manager getting a testimonial? Well, back in '84, I'd done my 10 years riding for Poole for the whole 10 years and was given a testimonial then by the then promotion. We had the meeting. Mum and Dad were on the gate collecting the money and helping along, and then we were told after the meeting they'd get the money, they presented it to me the next week, and sadly the club went broke and I didn't receive a penny. And so that's basically why. And when Matt Ford took over the Poole club, he said to me he would give me a testimonial.
So you were really unlucky that promotion, their last ever meeting, was your testimonial when it got hooked up in the administration.
That's right, yeah, and it was my testimony, and a number of other riders lost money. But that really hurt me because I've done 10 years at the club, and a lot of people, as the one they're doing now, have been helping them behind the scenes, getting things going. Basically we got ripped off.
It's a lot of work goes into these things, and obviously that's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is, very much.
So you followed Dad Ken's footsteps into Speedway as a rider. Was he a supportive dad, or was he a dad that really rather you did something else?
No, he was. It was something I never wanted to do anything else. Always at school, what do you want to do when you leave school, Neil? And I said, I want to be a speedway rider. And they say, well, what do you want to do for a real job? But no, Dad, he never pushed me. I never sort of rode a speedway bike until I was sort of 15 years old. And he supported me all the way through, really. We've, like most father and sons, you had your arguments on the tracks and things like this, but all in all, I looked up to him a great deal.
Do you remember that day when Poole came knocking on the door and signed you? Do you remember that? How did that come about?
I was doing a few second halves, as we used to have second halves back in the day there, so I was doing a few second halves and we used to race against the reserves then and started to beat a few. And then got offered the contract. So yeah, it was an honour, something I'd always wanted to ride for Poole. There's been nothing on it in my mind from a small child to ride for Poole Pirates.
Many won't know, but your dad also did a bit of managing.
Yeah.
In the late 60s.
Yeah.
So you've kind of followed his footsteps.
Absolutely.
In becoming a manager as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've become the most successful British League manager in the modern era of Speedway. How does that make you feel?
It makes me very proud. And as you say, my father's career, we've actually mirrored each other. He started at Eastbourne, I started at Eastbourne. He went to Poole, I went to Poole. He rode for England, I rode for England. I've managed England, which again was a great honour. But yeah, the team managing is something that I enjoy, and I think that's what comes across with the boys and with the fans. They see my passion for the club. That's it. It's not just a job that I stand there. I have a genuine passion for the club and to get the success. And luckily, we've been fortunate enough to have a lot.
And I think. What is the secret? Is it because you're a past rider that you can relate to the riders?
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with it. I think when I go to a rider and I say something to him and he knows that I've been there. Okay, the eras have changed a long time since I've ridden a bike, but the principle is exactly the same. It doesn't change in Speedway. My job is man management. I can still hear an engine if it sounds slow or too powerful or whatever, but they do kind of know. Well, Middler, you've been there. You know what you're talking about.
Going to what you're talking about, you've managed world champions. You've Harvey, Loramsky, Ricardson, Holder, and a brief spell with Greg Hancock. That must make you feel great inside. Did you ever feel when you signed as a manager for Poole that you would be dealing with world champions, such great riders?
No, never, not in a million years. And I look in my office and I've got the pictures of all the teams, and as you say, the riders that I've worked with. I've worked with the greatest riders in the modern era, to be fair. I think there's not many that I didn't manage or work with, and it has. It's been an absolute honour.
Well, we know the Turbo Twins were a handful for you.
Yeah.
On and off the track.
Yeah.
We know you're a Speedway family, and the family here at Bailey House has been synonymous with Poole Speedway.
Yep.
Because of the way that, you know, the riders have stayed here and it's become their home. Legendary parties, I'm told of, that have happened here, which I'm sure you can't say too much about. I mean, how did all that start? How did the riders being here start? Was it something started a long time ago?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, mum and dad did it originally, sort of, because obviously it's a big house and they didn't have a lot of money, and so they had to make the house work for them, as we still do. And they had riders staying then all the time. But in those days, they'd have the sort of southern tours. So they'd have the Glasgow, Edinburgh teams. They'd come down. They'd do sort of Exeter, Poole, Oxford or Wimbledon. And then sort of, so they'd base themselves here. So they'd come from Exeter here, do the bikes, then Poole Wednesday, then Oxford Thursday or Wimbledon. So that's how it's always been. We don't have so many southern tours anymore, but we've still have riders living here. They've been living here for over 40 odd years. And again, you could say the names of the riders, you know, Chris, Darcy, Tony, Javi, they've all stayed here, and everybody stayed here. Anybody stayed here at one time, and I enjoy it. It's good fun. I've got to say, they've got their workshops here, and the boys still come and stay now. The Poole boys, if they're racing the night before Poole, they'll come here, and they've got the workshops, which is brilliant for them.
Does that keep you young then, staying involved with the younger riders? I mean, I'm outside, and Zach and Ben are here obviously tonight. It keeps you young, and it keeps you current as well, because you know how the bikes have evolved, how that's changed. Yeah, so it's good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hang with the kids all the time, but I enjoy their company. They enjoy my company. You know, we'll go down the pub and have a beer, or watch the Speedway, or have a game of darts occasionally. But yeah, no, I enjoy their company. They're all good boys, and we've been very, very lucky that everybody bar none has been absolutely a treat to have here.
The fact that you open your doors, Poole Speedway as a club, have benefited from having that. It's become like a given that if somebody comes to Poole, Midlow looks after them.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, Matt always phones me. I mean, the Aussie boys particularly, because I'm married to an Aussie, Susie, and we'd like to think that if my kids were abroad, somebody would do the same for us. I know they would, because of all the years we've done it. Everybody says you always got a bed here, there, or everywhere. So we're Speedway is a family. Everybody knows that. It's
a massive family, and your family are so synonymous and attached to Poole.
Yeah.
It's what makes Poole very special as well, mate. It really does. As a fan, it makes Poole very special.
Yeah, it does, and I'm very proud of the legacy that my dad's handed down to me. So yeah.
And you deserve this second testimonial, which is on its way at the end of August. The team format, with you being the team manager that you are, it had to be a team format, didn't it?
Yeah, really. I think, and also we got two great sponsors on board with County Crest, Andy at County Crest, and Andy from Meridian Lifts, who've been involved with Poole for many, many years in the sponsorship, and Andy's put a team together in memory of his wife Jo. And Andy's just a massive fan with his wife Karen, so it's going to be a great night.
So there is Neil Middleditch, and the teams that he was just talking about there are as follows, and of course it's obviously subject to change depending on last minute injuries and so on, but this is as they stand as best we know. The County Crest All-Stars, which will feature Jack Holder, Frederick Jacobson, Paul Stark, Richard Lawson, Scott Nichols, Kyle Newman and Ben Cook, team managed by Mark Lorem and Karen Tracy. And the Meridian Lifts Heroes will feature Jason Doyle, Danny King, Chris Harris, Hans Anderson, Brady Kurtz, Dylan Rummel and Zach Cook, team managed by Gary Havelock and Sean Wilkinson. So those are the two lineups, and that meeting takes place Wednesday night, August 31st at Poole Stadium, 7:30. Get down there for a great evening in honour of one of British Speedway's great names and great servants, Neil Middleditch. And you're sure to have a great evening of entertainment with the names on show for both teams taking part in that one. And good luck to everybody, and good luck to Midlow, because it's been a long time coming, and hopefully he finally gets his cash. That's the bottom line of it. Let's have a look at the fixtures then for the next week or so in British Speedway, and we've got that Neil Middleditch testimonial, 7:30 the start time. It's also the same time as the British Under-21 final gets underway at Birmingham, and we're talking about that earlier. So two big meetings on Wednesday. Back to Premiership action on Thursday, Kings Lynn versus Peterborough and Sheffield versus Wolverhampton, both getting underway at 7:30. And then on Friday, it's Redcar versus Edinburgh. This is in the Championship Knockout Cup semi-final, so that gets underway 7:30 at the Echo Arena, and it's Scunthorpe versus Leicester in another Knockout Cup clash. And then on Saturday, we've got the European Championship Final 3. That's the Speedway Euros at Łódź in Poland. And in the National League, it's the Leicester Lion Cubs versus the Kent Kings in the National League at 7 o'clock. At the Paul Chapman and Sons Arena. Sunday, Kent take on Armadale, Mildenhall versus Berwick, and Mildenhall versus Plymouth in a double-header in the National League there. And that's at West Row, but a busy programme in the National League. And then back to Premiership action on Monday. Belle Vue Aces versus the Sheffield Tigers. War of the Roses, as we were mentioning before, and Peterborough versus Ipswich, which is your Eurosport meeting. And then we've got that rearrangement in the Championship, which was the one that was affected by the slightly damp track last week, where it was the postponed one. Plymouth versus Glasgow takes place on Tuesday, September 6th. And that takes you through the next week or so. And we'll be back next week with another episode of No Breaks, No Fear, to look ahead to everything else that's coming up in the week ahead, and of course looking back on those meetings we've just talked about. Of course, keep up to date with everything happening across British Speedway and your club online, britishspeedway.co.uk, and keep your eye on social media as well. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram to get all the latest updates as and when we get them, and we'll join you next week here on No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.